In the early 2010s, archaeologists excavating a Bronze Age settlement on the Korean peninsula recovered a deposit of charred seeds preserved in the floor of an ancient storage structure. The seeds dated to approximately 1000 BC. This is the period archaeologists call the Moomin era, 1,000 years before the Three Kingdoms period of Korean history and roughly contemporary with the height of the Iron Age in Europe. The seeds were small, round, gray-brown, and clearly stored as a deliberate harvest rather than scattered as field weeds. Carbon dating and morphological analysis identified them as a domesticated form of Perilla frutescens, the same plant species that Korean households still use today to produce one of the most aromatic and nutritionally dense cooking oils in any cuisine. Further excavations at related Korean sites pushed the timeline back further. Pollen and seed evidence from earlier occupation layers suggested Perilla used dating to approximately 3500 BC. That is roughly 5,500 years ago. For comparison, the pyramid at Giza was constructed around 2560 BC. The earliest Egyptian dynastic kingdoms emerged around 3100 BC. The first cuneiform writing in Mesopotamia appeared around 3200 BC. Perilla cultivation on the Korean peninsula predates all of these events. If you're new here, subscribe. To understand Perilla, you have to understand its place in the East Asian food system and the specific omega-3 chemistry that makes it unusual. Perilla belongs to the family Lamiaceae, the mint family, which also includes basil, sage, oregano, thyme, rosemary, and lavender. Like its mint family relatives, Perilla contains substantial concentrations of aromatic essential oils that give the plant its characteristic fragrance when leaves are crushed or seeds are pressed. But Perilla seeds contain something almost no other mint family plant produces: a massive concentration of alpha-linolenic acid, known as ALA, the plant form of omega-3 fatty acid. Modern laboratory analyses have documented ALA content in Perilla seed oil at 54 to 64% of total fatty acids. To understand why this number matters, consider what it means in practical comparison. Flaxseed oil, which is widely marketed as a premium plant omega-3 source, contains ALA at approximately 50 to 55% of total fatty acids. Walnut oil contains ALA at approximately 10 to 14%. Soybean oil contains ALA at approximately 7%. Olive oil contains ALA at less than 1%. And Perilla seed oil contains more ALA per gram than any of these alternatives. In the comparison the title of this video promises, the numbers are even more dramatic. Salmon, the standard reference for omega-3 fatty acids in Western nutrition advice, contains approximately 1.5 to 2.5 grams of omega-3 fatty acids per 100 grams of fish. Perilla seed oil contains approximately 58 grams of omega-3 fatty acids per 100 grams of oil. By weight, Perilla seed oil contains roughly 25 to 30 times more omega-3 fatty acids than salmon. But here's the critical honesty caveat that distinguishes this video from the marketing-style content that has flooded the wellness industry over the past decade. The omega-3 in Perilla seeds is ALA. The omega-3 in salmon is primarily EPA and DHA, two longer-chain omega-3 fatty acids that the human body uses directly for cardiovascular and neurological function. When you eat ALA from plant sources, your body must convert it to EPA and DHA before using it. That conversion process is limited. Research published in multiple peer-reviewed nutrition journals has documented that the human body converts ALA to EPA at roughly 5 to 15% efficiency, and ALA to DHA at significantly lower efficiency, often less than 1%. This means that per gram, Perilla seed oil delivers substantially more raw omega-3 material than salmon, but salmon delivers more biologically active omega-3 directly because of the EPA-DHA content. For someone whose dietary goal is to obtain plant-based omega-3 fatty acids without consuming fish, for ethical, religious, sustainability, allergy, or budget reasons, Perilla seed oil represents one of the densest sources available. For someone whose primary goal is the cardiovascular and neurological benefits associated with EPA and DHA specifically, fatty fish remains the more direct source. The honest comparison is not that Perilla replaces salmon for everyone. It is that Perilla provides an extraordinarily concentrated plant-based omega-3 option that almost no one in Western nutrition awareness has ever heard of. Subscribe if you want more of these stories. The 5,000-year cultivation history of Perilla is concentrated almost entirely in East Asia. Archaeological and historical records document continuous use across China, where the plant is called zisu in Mandarin and has been included in traditional Chinese pharmacopoeias for at least 2,000 years. Korea, where the plant is called dilkai, and where archaeological evidence of cultivation dates to approximately 3,500 BC. Japan, where the leafy variety is called shiso and the oil from seed variety has been used since at least the Han period of the 8th and 9th centuries. Vietnam, where Perilla appears in traditional PHO preparations and herbal medicine practices. India, where Perilla is grown on small scale in northeastern hill regions under names like Panjira and Salmon. The plant moved across East Asia through cultural exchange networks that included Buddhist monastic traditions, trade routes, and agricultural knowledge transfer. Across all of these cultures, Perilla served two distinct culinary roles. The fresh leaves were used as a flavorful herb and culinary vegetable, wrapped around grilled meats, chopped into salads, included in soups, or eaten directly as a fresh accompaniment to rich foods. The seeds were pressed into oil that served as a household cooking medium with a distinctive nutty, slightly grassy, faintly anise-like flavor. The traditional medical applications were equally substantial. Chinese traditional medicine prescribed perilla for fish and crab poisoning, where fresh perilla leaves were administered to counteract foodborne illness, respiratory complaints, including coughs, asthma, and bronchial inflammation, cold and flu symptoms, where warm perilla tea was used as a sweating agent, stress and anxiety, where the plant's aromatic compounds were used in folk preparations for nervous tension and insomnia. Korean traditional medicine, known as hanbang, classified perilla in the yakseon category, the intersection of food and medicine, and prescribed it for similar applications, alongside specifically Korean medical traditions. By the 18th and 19th centuries, perilla oil had become a staple ingredient in royal Korean kitchens during the Joseon dynasty. Court records document its inclusion in formal banquet menus, royal medicinal preparations, and traditional ceremonial foods. What is unusual is what happened next. Across all of these East Asian cultures, perilla remained a continuously used, deeply integrated food and medicine. In the Korean peninsula specifically, perilla oil, called deulgurium, is still produced and consumed in enormous quantities today. Modern Korean households use it in everyday cooking to flavor noodles, to season vegetables, to finish soups and sauces, and as a topical hair and skin treatment. The plant is not forgotten in Korea. It is forgotten outside Korea. Western nutrition awareness, despite decades of attention to omega-3 fatty acids, has overwhelmingly defaulted to fish oil supplements, fish consumption recommendations, and flaxseed as the standard plant alternative. Perilla, which contains more omega-3 per gram than any commercial alternative and has 5,000 years of safety and cultural use behind it, has remained essentially invisible in Western health and nutrition conversations. The reason is straightforward. Western nutrition research has been conducted predominantly within Western agricultural systems that have no commercial perilla production at scale. The plant grows in East Asia. The research funding, the supply chains, the consumer marketing, and the regulatory frameworks have all evolved around Western crops. Perilla simply was not part of the picture. The modern peer-reviewed research on perilla is concentrated primarily in East Asian institutions and has been quietly accumulating since the 1980s. A 2017 review published in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology synthesized data from over 200 studies on the pharmacological effects of perilla frutescens. The findings were consistent across multiple disease categories. The ALA content, when consumed regularly, appeared to produce measurable cardiovascular effects. A 2022 review in Advances in Nutrition, authored by Penny Chris Etherton and colleagues at Pennsylvania State University, synthesized data from three major randomized controlled trials of dietary ALA, the Alpha-Omega trial, the Predimed trial, and the Lion Diet Heart Study. The pooled evidence showed cardiovascular benefits associated with high ALA diets, including reductions in total cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, triglycerides, and blood pressure. Inflammatory markers were also reduced in several of the studies. A 2025 large-scale analysis published in Scientific Reports examined dietary omega-3 intake patterns across over 18,000 participants with documented cardiovascular disease. The findings recommended approximately 2.03 grams of ALA per day as the optimal intake level for individuals with cardiovascular disease history. Perilla seed oil delivers this quantity in approximately 1 tablespoon. Beyond cardiovascular research, perilla studies have documented effects across multiple categories. Cognitive function research has shown modest improvements in age-related memory decline in laboratory animal models and preliminary human trials. Anti-inflammatory effects have been documented through inhibition of inflammatory cytokines in both laboratory and clinical settings. Hepatoprotective effects have been documented in animal models of alcohol-induced liver damage and high-fat diet metabolic stress. The hepatoprotective compounds appear to include rosmarinic acid and caffeic acid. Phenolic compounds also found in other mint family plants, but concentrated unusually in perilla. This is preclinical research in many cases. It does not establish perilla seed oil as a treatment for any specific medical condition. But the convergence of findings across cardiovascular, cognitive, and metabolic research areas suggests perilla represents a substantially more interesting compound profile than its absence from Western nutrition awareness would suggest. The plant's profile also includes Vitamins A, B complex, and C in modest amounts. Mineral content including potassium, calcium, magnesium, and iron. Phenolic compounds including rosmarinic acid, luteolin, apigenin, quercetin, and chitonin. Carotenoid pigments in the red and purple varieties. For someone interested in plant-based omega-3 alternatives, Perilla seed oil offers a concentration of ALA that no other commercial cooking oil matches. For someone interested in heritage food traditions with documented safety records spanning thousands of years, Perilla represents one of the most thoroughly used food and medicinal plants in human agricultural history. The practical reality of using Perilla today depends almost entirely on access to East Asian grocery stores and willingness to handle the oil correctly. For purchase, Perilla seed oil is available in nearly every Korean grocery store across the United States. The Korean term is dulgurium, literally meaning wild sesame oil, though perilla and sesame are botanically unrelated. Quality varies significantly by producer and processing method. Cold-pressed perilla oil retains the highest concentration of ALA and bioactive compounds. Roasted perilla oil has a deeper, more aromatic flavor, but slightly lower ALA content because of the heat exposure during roasting. Both forms have culinary value. The choice depends on intended use. For raw applications, drizzled over rice bowls, mixed into salad dressings, added to cold noodle dishes, cold-pressed perilla oil delivers maximum nutritional benefit. For finishing cooked dishes, roasted perilla oil provides deeper flavor and retains substantial nutritional value as long as it is not exposed to high heat after addition. Pricing typically runs between $15 and $40 per bottle of 500 to 750 milliliters, which reflects the labor-intensive seed harvest and pressing process. A bottle of perilla oil typically lasts a household 2 to 3 months when used at the rate suggested by cardiovascular research, roughly 1 tablespoon daily. For storage, perilla oil is sensitive to heat, light, and oxygen because of its high unsaturated fatty acid content. Store in a dark, cool place or in the refrigerator. Once opened, use within 3 to 4 months for best flavor and nutritional value. Refrigeration may cause slight cloudiness or solidification. This is normal and reverses at room temperature. For cooking applications, do not use perilla oil for high heat cooking such as deep frying or stir frying at high temperatures. The same chemistry that makes perilla rich in omega-3s also makes it sensitive to heat damage. The oil oxidizes rapidly above moderate cooking temperatures, producing compounds that are not only unhealthy, but actively counterproductive to the cardiovascular benefits of the unmodified oil. Use perilla oil for cold, drizzling on finished dishes, low heat sautéing for short durations, mixing into sauces, dressings, and marinades that will be served cool or warm, replacing other finishing oils, where the dish does not require sustained high heat. For cultivation, perilla is one of the easier annual herbs to grow. The plant tolerates USDA hardiness zones 4 through 11 as an annual, preferring full sun to light afternoon shade and moist, well-drained soil. Plant seeds directly in spring after the last frost, or start indoors 6 weeks before transplant. The plants grow rapidly, reaching 3 to 4 feet tall by midsummer and produce abundant aromatic leaves through the entire growing season. Seeds develop in late summer and can be harvested for replanting, pressing into oil at home, or grinding into a culinary seed condiment. For home seed harvest, expect modest yields. A small garden patch of 15 to 20 plants will produce perhaps 1 to 2 cups of clean seeds in a growing season. This is enough for culinary use as a seed seasoning, but not enough for meaningful oil production without specialized small-scale pressing equipment. Most home growers focus on the leaves and purchase oil from commercial sources. There are 2 important practical cautions. First, perilla in some sensitive individuals can produce allergic reactions ranging from mild skin contact dermatitis to more serious respiratory responses. This is relatively uncommon, but worth being aware of if you have known allergies to plants in the mint family. Start with small quantities for first-time consumption. Second, certain studies have suggested that perilla extract may interact with anticoagulant medications, warfarin and similar drugs, by enhancing their effect on blood clotting. This is preclinical evidence, not definitive clinical research, but worth discussing with a physician if you take prescription blood thinners. Culinary perilla consumption in normal food quantities appears safe for nearly everyone. Concentrated perilla supplements should be approached with the same caution as any concentrated herbal product. What you have, when you incorporate perilla seed oil into your cooking, is direct cultural participation in a food tradition that began on the Korean Peninsula approximately 500 years ago, spread across East Asia through millennia of cultural exchange, and has produced one of the most omega-3 dense plant oils available anywhere in the world. The plant has been doing what it does since long before any of the civilizations of the modern Western world even existed. The only thing that has changed is whether you ever heard of it. If you have access to a Korean grocery store, perilla oil is available in most stores for the price of any premium specialty cooking oil. Subscribe if you want more videos on the specific food crops that quietly continue across Asian, African, and indigenous American food traditions, while Western nutrition awareness has not yet caught up to what those communities figured out thousands of years ago.